Hey everyone, welcome to the Acrobatic Arts Podcast. I'm Loren, and I will be interviewing some of the top leaders and innovators from the dance and acrobatic industry. If you are a teacher, performer, student, or a lifelong learner like myself, you are sure to find these episodes intriguing and full of inspiration. Acrobatic Arts is passionate about providing current and relevant information for everyone. So please, sit back and enjoy as we share our passion with you and the world. In this episode, we have Master Teacher Vicki Fletcher. She's going to give us some fantastic ideas for using an incline mat. These drills are perfect to build strength and confidence in beginner to advanced dancers. Take it away, Vicki.
Hi teachers. So today we're going to talk about incline mats. We get a lot of questions on our Facebook page and the Teacher Certified page, and I see it kind of everywhere about mats, and people are wondering where to get them, what to get, what size to get. So today we're going to talk about our incline mats. The incline mats that I'm going to use today are from Tumble Track, and they are great mats. They have a really great material that they're made out of. The density of them is not too soft and not too hard, which is really important when you're looking for these incline mats. So if your incline mats are too soft, the dancers are just going to squish right into them, and it's really hard to kind of get any footing or any kind of balance or traction on them. If they're too hard, those younger ones are going to be a little intimidated by it, and it's going to feel just like being on a floor, and they kind of need that little reassurance. So these mats are really great for that. That black one, that one's about 2 feet high on the highest end, and it's 5 feet wide by about 10 feet long. The multicolored one, that's about 16 inches high, still 5 feet wide by about 7 feet long. Either of these mats are great, and they come in so many different sizes. So the multicolored one, that is their large incline, okay? They also have a medium size and a smaller one. They are great for some things and with little ones, but I don't have a lot of studio space. In fact, if you don't have a lot of storage room, you're better off to just get one of the big ones that is good for all ages. So the big one you can use all the way up to your seniors and your teen dancers. That is great for all of them. But for some of those smaller ones, they're not big enough for your younger ones. So instead of maybe investing in a whole lot of them, just invest in a nice big size one. But like I said, Tumble Track has some really great products. So go online and check them out. One thing that's really great about these incline mats as well is they have Velcro on them. So if you're worried about them slipping, you can attach them to other mats and it holds traction. But I will say that I don't even have to use them on my carpeted bonded mats because they stick right to them because they are so heavy. Like they're easy enough to move, but they're solid enough that I'm not scared that they're going to be moving around on them. All right, so we are going to get going here. I'm just going to kind of touch on a few things. I'm going to give you a few things for your conditioning and cardio that you can use it for. They're great if you're going to do different sections in your room to set them up to do. Circuit training is great with them. So I'm going to do some things starting with them folded, and then we'll move into some more limbering and then some tumbling things that we like to use them for. But this is by no means the end of what you can do with these mats. What you can do with them is endless, okay? Starting with them folded, I love to do the box jumps with them, okay? So box jumps are gonna build lots of strong ankles and legs and core strength, but I'm gonna combine it with a frog jump as well. So they're gonna do a box jump on and then a frog jump across, hitting that nice hollow position, and then they're gonna land off with a nice solid sturdy landing. And these you can use, like if you have the younger ones, you can even do this. So the multicolored one, the large incline beside the big cheese, that one would be great for your younger ones. The little ones that might not be quite at that level or that strength yet, then you can use your lower level ones, okay? Lower height ones. All right, so now we're gonna do upper and lower body lifts. So our upper body lifts with height, they come in level 8 in the syllabus. So upper body lifts using the mat. What's great about this is I can probably get 4 of them doing it at once. So lots of room on it. I find this is one thing, if you don't have something like this incline mat, it's hard to set something up. You need a lot of panel mats to be able to do that. So having this incline mat is perfect. And like I said, I can get at least 4 of them in at the same time doing it. Great workout for their lower backs. It needs to be nice and strong. So excellent for them to do that. So we're going to do our tricep dips. So tricep dips are great. Push-ups are also great using these. 2 different versions. Do hands on and feet on. If you have different levels in your studios, then you do whatever they can do, like multiple different ways of doing that, okay? So now we're going to start working on things like our Arabian limbers and some kind of back handspring drills. She's going to kick up to her handstand and she's going to place her feet on the mat. So she's going to look up and place her feet there. Then she's going to bend in her legs and then she's going to push through her shoulders and hollow position out and plank. So this is going to help with that second part of the back handspring. It's going to teach them kind of where the blocking stage comes in, and it's going to help them get those legs nice and straight and reach them long. So it's going to help with some of that undercutting in that second flying phase of their back handspring. These are great ones to work on your Arabians and just really the start of some back handspring. So you can be working on these things long before they're ready for it, and it's helping them also with just the fact of going back a little bit quicker than what they're used to. Snap down drills. She's going to kick up to her handstand. She's going to get into the position she would be in for her blocking. She's going to sink in her shoulders and then snap those legs down and rebound. Okay? It's that second part again, with the second part of that flying phase and making sure that it's not undercutting and trying to make it long. Okay? So we want both those flying phases to be long. The first one will probably be a little bit longer than the second, but this is going to help them from not coming down with their feet like right between their hands. Okay, so now we got our mat unfolded. So there's so many different things that you could have done with them folded, but like I said, we're just trying to condense a whole lot into one. So now with them unfolded, we're going to start doing stuff that's obviously incorporating that incline. So most of the skills that you do down the incline make it a little bit easier. It's going to help with momentum and power. And then anything that you do up the incline is going to build strength. Okay, so we're going to start with log rolls. These are hard too because they are just going to want to roll. It's going to be an instinct to just have fun and roll down that mat. But we want them still to hit that hollow position and Superman and control it and not let themselves just keep rolling down the mat. Okay. So still really looking for that nice strong technique in the hollow, showing the hollow and the Superman. And now we're going to do it up the incline. So now this is that coming down is a little bit more control, going up is a little bit more strength. Wherever you want to situate this in your class, you can have it at the end of your mat. That tends to kind of be where mine is at the end of the mat. And a lot of the times if I'm doing stuff down and back the mats, when they're with the incline mat, then I get them to do different things. I'll give them different drills that they need to do at the end that will keep building some strength so that they're not just standing around. So now you're rock and roll to standing in your tuck and your candle. So we're going to start on the floor. The biggest problem I find with the rock and roll in candle and tuck is the stand up at the end. So they might not be able to get quite as high up on their shoulders because they're actually going up the incline, but it's going to help the recovery at the end. Okay, go on. So it's just helping her standing up at the end, which is, we all know with the little ones, can be really tricky. Okay. So now we're going to start with our rolls. So a lot of times people say, so what else can you do on these incline mats besides rolls? Well, there's lots, and pretty much anything that you can do on an incline mat. So we're going to start with our rolls. So when you're teaching those babies, the very first time that I teach a backwards roll, I will get them to stand in front of the high end. So all she's going to do is basically sit her bum down and roll back. And I'm going to make sure that those hands are right back beside her ears. So instantly make sure that those hands are in the proper position. Really important. But at this point, all I want to see is that she's going straight over her head. She's pushing as much as she possibly can with her hands. So she's just going to let that incline kind of take her over, okay? Where if I'm just doing it on the regular flat mats, a lot of the times you're going to have to keep spotting these dancers, giving them a little bit of a lift in the hips, right? So that they're not hurting their necks in any way. So this allows them to do it and takes a lot of pressure off the neck. Just like I said, make sure that those hands are constantly in the right spot. Once they understand that and they've got that good, she's going to push really, really, really hard in her hands and she's going to land in a plank. Push and plank. This, again, the incline's giving her a little bit more momentum to help with that. So eventually we're working up to our back extension, our backwards roll extension. This is a great way to work on that skill. It comes in level 7, and it's a pretty difficult skill for them to learn. So now we're going to do our handstand forward rolls. So we all know how difficult they can be trying to get them to do it in their straight arms. It kind of freaks them out. They instantly want to tuck in my ball, and they want to bend their arms, which is going to cause them to come down on their head, and that's not what we want to happen, right? So this is one, when they're learning, I would never do down, because it's actually doing the exact opposite than what you want. So you want to bring the floor up closer to their shoulders, not farther away, okay? Again, like I said, this is a tricky skill for them to learn. They get a little bit intimidated by it, so doing it on this is great. So now for a little bit of a challenge is walking on your hands. So walking on your hands is something I do a lot, and walking up the incline, this is taking a lot more strength, it's taking a lot more balance, and it's actually doing a really good wrist stretch. So this is something I'd like to put at the end of my mat. So they will walk the length of the mat, then they'll turn around next time they go through, they have to walk the length of the mat and then go up the incline. That's just going to build a lot of upper body strength that we want them to have. But it's also forcing their wrists to really push even farther past. So it's a really good wrist stretch for them as well. All right, so now we're going to go into some limbering, some bridge work. The very first time I do down to bridge with them, I will do it here. So I always get their heels to go flat up against that mat so that they have a really good starting position and their feet are even, because I can't count the number of times that their feet are just not even with this. So this is kind of like the next step down from walking down the wall. They can go down to their bridge on the wall, walk down and come back up. And when they got that really good, then you can bring them over to the incline mat and do it like this. I find this has really helped with my dancers with their bridge and recover. So now they're bridge and kick over. My novice group this year, my little ones, I get them to do, once they can do a bridge and kick over with me pretty good, I'll get them to do it on the incline mat by themselves. So I get them to push up from the top, they kick over, and they're like, whoo, I did it all by myself. And then I'll say, okay, move down a little bit. So then they move down a little bit, and then they move down a little bit more and a little bit more. It's the same angle the entire time, but they don't know that, right? So what they're doing is getting repetition, right? And they think they're getting stronger. They are getting stronger because of the repetitions, but they think that it's harder as they go down. It doesn't really get any harder until their hands actually go on that carpeted mat. So then once their hands, they get to the end, they put their hands on the carpeted mat, they're still pushing from the incline mat, and then they take another step and they're fully on the carpeted mat or your flat mats. And I just find that that whole repetition of them coming all the way down the incline is great. And I can be over spotting other dancers doing things, and they're pretty confident doing it on their own. With this, we can do also front and back walkovers. And because these two can already do front and back walkovers, what I would do is have it at the end of the mat, and they'd have to do them up the mat now. And you want to make sure that it still finishes the exact same way. Okay, so it's a lot harder on the recovery, a little bit more power and pull up. So lots of core strength it takes at the end. And it's just giving them that little extra challenge. Okay, for a skill that they can already do normally. Now it's just kind of giving them that next step. So maybe they're not quite ready for the next step in the back walkovers and their front walkovers, but putting them going up the incline, it's just going to build more strength so that when you do want to do those different variations, they're going to come a lot easier. One thing I do not do is front limbers. So I never do a front limber, only because it's that 2-foot landing and then recovery, usually their momentum is going way too far forward and we don't want those steps out. So I don't usually do that. The only thing I might do is like a handstand to bridge going up it to kind of help with the first part. Other skills that are really good on this are Valdez. You can work your Valdez's on this. One arm Valdez is really good to learn on your incline mat. Moon walkovers. So moon walkovers are great on this. It's a little bit softer on the tops of their feet, and it's giving them just more momentum to help them get into that bridge and help with that lifting of the hips. Rolling tinskas, these can be a tricky skill to learn. So rolling tinskas can be tricky, and one of the things that I find that they don't do is lift their hips up high enough. So they automatically think about their upper body, which makes sense because they don't want to hit their heads or land on their heads. but they don't think about their lower half, and their lower half is really important in this. I'm going to tell her that her fingertips have to be facing in front of the mat, and she's going to land with her hips up onto the mat. So that is one way that I will help them get their hips up higher. So then once they kind of understand, they can work on them going down the mat, because again, it's just helping them build that momentum. Okay. So those are just some limbering things, and we're going to do a few little tumbling drills that you can do with it. Anything cartwheel wise, I would actually use the smaller incline for it. When we're starting to work on aerials, you want them high and tight, right? So I would get them on the smaller incline mat, and we would work quick cartwheels going down, and they have to stay and like start and finish on the incline mat. Also, flying cartwheels, again, start and finish on the incline mat. They're not allowed to actually touch the blue carpeted mat, and that's going to help them think about high and tight. Those are your flying cartwheels, everything. Aerials, same thing. Coming down the incline mat will really help with the momentum that they need for it, so they can work those. And then once they get strong in those, then they can do aerials up the incline. So again, they still have to finish it, but now it's got that height to it, right? So they have to have more lift to be able to get into this and finish it properly. So again, like I said, anything coming down is going to build momentum. So one thing that we really want momentum on is our round offs and our back handsprings, okay? With this, we're going to start working on some round offs. Okay? And working our round offs coming down is really going to help them get their weight back and into their heels where we want them to be in their round offs. And then it's going to stop those rebounds that are going forward. So if you have round offs that the rebounds are going forward, they're never going to connect. So lots of round offs. And then going up, it's just going to build strength. And I'm going to still make sure that she tries to jump backwards. Like I said, builds lots of power that we want. When I do back handsprings, the very first place that I do a back handspring is on my incline with me spotting. This really it builds their confidence. It's a softer mat. It's, like I said, it's helping with that downward momentum. So then once they understand their back handsprings, I also do standing back tucks on my incline mat, down my incline mat. Now they're going to connect. So round off back handspring up and then connect it to a round off back handspring down. An incline mat can basically, it's like my spotter, my assistant, because I don't have an assistant in my classes, unfortunately. So I'm usually on my own. So my incline mat really helps me be able to spot my own things and work with some dancers that might need my help, but then gives the other dancers that are capable of starting to do different things, then they can start working on their own things on the incline. So if there is one piece of equipment that I can suggest that you get other than your good mats, is an incline mat. And I think you'd be really happy with it. And it's amazing what you can do. And like I said, this was just kind of scratching the surface on what you can do with an incline mat.
Thank you so much, Vicki. You always provide us with amazing skills and drills to use in class. As Vicki mentioned, we try our best to answer the questions that you have. If you have a topic that you would like us to explore further, please send your ideas to podcast@acrobaticarts.com. Thanks for listening, everyone, and have a great day.